My name is Brenda Jo Lytle. My maiden name was Brenda Jo Thompson. I am a Native American elder. I grew up on the Loreboro Reservation. The name of this book is The Return of the Buffalo by Paul Goble. Very nice artwork. It's the Plains Indian story about famine and a renewal of the earth, told and illustrated by Paul Goble. Spring had come, but the buffalo had not returned, and grass was even growing in the paths they always used. The winter supply of dried meat had all been eaten. The parfleeches were empty. Everyone was hungry, and the children were too weak to go out and play any longer. Women broke up old bones to boil with leaves and roots. For soup, the people were starving. Where have the buffalo gone, everyone asked. Nobody knew. Even the deer and elk were nowhere to be found. Day after day, hunters went out searching. People waited. Yet at evening, the hunters always came back empty-handed. Young men kept a lookout on the mountains, on the hilltops, always hoping to see the buffalo herds. People who had spoken with animals in their dreams gathered at the center of the camp. Deer and elk and buffalo dreamers made ceremonies and danced, calling the animals to come back. People watched and joined in with their thoughts, knowing that the mystic dreamers felt a close kinship with the animals. The animals would know that their two-legged relatives were calling them to come back. Each day, hunters walked afar, searching, always hoping to bring back something to eat. Finally, everyone was weak and without enough hope to take down the teepees and walk farther. The leaders of the village chose 2 young men and told them, "You boys are still strong. Most of us are weak and old, and you can hear the children are always crying for something to eat. We now rely on your strength. You must find the buffalo. Go to those high hills, climb to the tops, and look out over the country and come back when you have found the buffalo. Try hard, we all put our hopes in you." When the young men reached the hills, they climbed up through pine tree forest and clambered up the rocks at the very top. They looked to the 4 corners of the world. They hoped to see the buffalo herds making the plains black with their numbers, but they could not see even one. "I think we will die together here," one of the scouts said. "These rocks will mark our burying place. They told us not to come home until we found the buffalo." "You are right," the other one answered. "I did so want to tell something good to make my parents smile again." As they walked among the hilltops, suddenly they smelled buffalo. They were amazed to find hoof prints everywhere around the entrance to a cave. While they puzzled, a voice said, "I will feed your people." At a little distance stood a woman, mysterious and wonderful to look at. Her hair was tied with sage leaves and buffalo hair, and her dress was painted red in a manner they had never seen. As they looked, they saw that the hill was really a teepee, and the caves its doors. The woman led them inside, sat them down on either side of her. "Grandmother, our people are starving," they told her. "Why have you not come sooner, grandson?" she asked. "Why have you gone hungry for so long?" Suddenly she pointed, "Look this way," and for an instant they glimpsed animals of every kind. "Look over here," she said, pointing to the opposite direction for a moment. The teepees appeared black with stampeding buffaloes. "I will give you all these, grandson," she told him. "I will feed your people and make them happy. Tell them I will send out my buffalo people. Go now." The young man ran down the plains. Now they had marvelous words to take home. "I will feed your people and make them happy," she had told them. They did not feel weak or hungry or tired any longer. When they came inside of their village again, they started to sing and run a crooked course from side to side, which was a signal that they had something important to report. Great was everyone's joy and excitement. "We will go and see this wonderful woman," the wise ones decided. "Let us each take her a gift." The 2 young men led the way up to the cave, and all the people climbed on after them. Those who were strong carried the children and helped the weaker ones. On the ground at the entrance to the cave, women spread out beautiful buffalo robes which they had painted. People placed their gifts on the robe. Even the children gave their dolls or toys, and those who had none gave pretty stones or flowers. They waited. Nobody spoke. Even the camp dog sat silently. When the mysterious woman did not appear, they all walked back to their teepees. The sun went down, and again the children went to sleep without anything to eat. And then, during the night, everyone was awakened by a thunderstorm drumming and booming in the hills. When the sound grew louder, they rushed outside and hammered in the pegs around the bottoms of the teepees and closed the smoke flaps against the storm. Yet there was no lightning, even no wind, and the sky was full of stars. The rumbling swelled to a terrifying roar, and the ground under their feet trembled. "It's the Buffalo Nation," they cried. "The buffaloes are coming." All through the night they came out of the cave, surging like a torrent down from the hills and rushing past the teepees. The air was filled with noises of snorting and bellowing and thundering hooves. People crouched inside their teepees, hiding under their robes. Mothers held their children close, fearful that the buffaloes would knock down the teepees and trample them in their frantic rush. The huge beasts raced past, crowding one another. Those who were brave enough to peek through the holes in the teepee covers became dizzy watching the multitudes hurrying by. As the sun rose, the teepee doors were thrown open. The wonderful woman had brought back the buffalo. It was just as she had promised the young man. After that, the hunters went out and brought home meat. There was laughter again, and delicious cooking smells came from every teepee. Wise men gave thanks for the food, and everyone had enough to eat. Even the dogs and magpies were happy. Later, they sliced the rest of the meat to dry in the sun, and the parfleeches were filled again. This is the story the old people used to tell about those long ago days. Kiapa, that is what they said. Today, national park rangers take tourists down into the caverns to look at the strange and beautiful rocks deep inside the earth. People hear the silence down there and see the darkness. Sometimes they feel an extraordinary wind inside the cave. People say this wind is the breath of yet more buffaloes, still somewhere down there, waiting for the mysterious and wonderful woman to let them out.